richest German woman falls into a love trap. The Swiss gigolo is a professional gold digger. This German woman is Susanna Klatten, heir of the Quandt family, with net assets of $25.8 billion in 2021. She was born on April 28, 1962. Today, she is 59 years old, having inherited 19.2% of BMW, 50.1% of Altana, and at the same time, Graphene, Nordex, as well as credit card and passport manufacturing companies among other companies, becoming the richest German woman. Susanna studied business management at the University of Buckingham in the UK and then finished her MBA at the University of Lausanne in Switzerland, with a master's degree in business administration. She worked with banks in London, with Dresden Bank, McKinsey's Munich branch and Bankhaus Royal Company. Speaking of the Quandt family, you may feel it is relatively new, but probably everyone knows the two famous German car brands, Mercedes-Benz and BMW. Their family is the savior of BMW. In the mid-1950s, when BMW was on the verge of bankruptcy, Herbert Quandt, Susanna's father, decided to fight to the end, and he invested all his private assets as a bet to expand BMW's equity. If the company were to fail, he would go bankrupt. Not only did family members object, but even the bank left him. Herbert was determined to stay with BMW, eventually bringing BMW back to life. The Quandt family is still the largest shareholder of BMW, and the family owns 47.6% of BMW shares. The Quandt family was also a shareholder of Altana, the chemical company, Mauser, the German weapons and ammunition manufacturer that produces Mauser rifles, and Varta, known for Varta batteries. The history of their family's fortune can be traced back to the 19th century. From the textile industry to the military industry to automobile manufacturing, the Quandt family's industry survived World War I and World War II, and continues to this day. Today, the family business has passed to the fourth generation of Quandt, Susanna and her brother Stephen. Although rich and powerful, starting with Émile Quandt, the founder of the family, restraint and modesty is implemented in the education of every member of the family. Why so low-key? The Quandt family has a history of providing ammunition and military equipment to Hitler, as well as using a large amount of illegal labor. The descendants do not want to make any irresponsible remarks or draw any negative attention from people. Susanna, the heir, is also very low-key. Usually, Susanna does not look like a celebrity or a noble woman. She exudes the atmosphere of an ordinary professional woman. She has no large social parties, no luxury life, no famous horses, and no special fashions. Only in semi-business and semi-entertainment occasions, she will show up, such as the test ceremony of a new BMW car, or the opening ceremony of the art exhibition held by the Altana Pharmaceutical Group. Susanna has an enviable family, her husband is nice and handsome, and her 3 children are well educated. She was only in her 20s when she met her husband, during her internship at BMW, and while using the alias Susan Quandt to cover her true identity. She didn't want people to know she was from Big Quandt. He was an engineer called Jan Klatten, who was inclined to see Susanna, and who had been working in BMW. As they became familiar, they gradually established a relationship. Before Jan proposed, Susanna had to confirm that he loved her as a person, and only until then did she tell Jan her true identity. The two have been very emotionally connected after they married. How could such a cautious and discreet woman fall into a love trap? In her statement to the police, Susanna described their deadly encounter. Susanna, 45, took a 2-week vacation in 2007 at a high-end recuperation facility, from the 12th to the 25th of July. The resort was a spa retreat called Lanzerhof, located in Tyrol, Austria, 8 kilometers south of Innsbruck, in the mountains of the East Alps, where the large amount of water in the big cities makes it a good place for sanitation. The holiday paradise attracts mostly top managers, sometimes tycoons like Roman Abramovich, and Russian oil oligarchs. People come here to relax, without need for careful dress, as one can dress in morning clothes. They can spend half the day swimming, drinking tea or juice, while waiting for the massage service, looking at the beauty of the Alps through the windows. In the evening, you can attend lectures on how to balance your body and mind. You'll go to bed at 9 o'clock, and you will be relaxed and sleep as much as you can. Susanna was admitted on July 9, 2007, and Helg Sgarbi was admitted 3 days later. He didn't care about Susanna for the first few days, they just smiled gently and behaved courteously with each other at breakfast. Suzanne's real hook was on July 19, when she was reading the book, The Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho, a Brazilian man, which was a spiritual fable about a boy following his dreams. "My favorite book," said Sgarbi, and he sat next to her and started a conversation. Sgarbi was knowledgeable of both Brazil and the novel. He talked about Coelho's famous remark that it is the possibility of realizing dreams that makes life interesting. Quotation mark. Sgarbi began to tell his story, some of which was true. He was born in Brazil and his father was the head of Sulzer South America, Switzerland, so he spoke 6 languages: Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, French, English and German. He was an officer of the Swiss Army Reserve and was an investment advisor at a Swiss bank. He certainly did not mention that the wife he married was Italian, that he even got her last name, and that he had a 2-year-old daughter. Then there was a little fabrication. He told her that he had just divorced, saying he sometimes worked for the Swiss military, so the government sometimes called him to resolve overseas disputes or crises in a careful and efficient manner, such as hostage events. These experiences had drawn Suzanne deeply, because she often spends a lot of time deciding what kind of charity the Quandt family should donate to. With dividends of more than €100 million a year, she has enough pocket money to help hard-working, young and productive entrepreneurs, or to sponsor immigration programs. She appreciated that Sgarbi was willing to spend time doing these things. Over the next 2 days, Mr. Sgarbi accompanied Klatten through many of his historical sites and landscape tours in Austria. He further demonstrated his thoughtfulness, delicate sensitivity, military responsibility, adventurousness and openness, and his attitude of a knight and gentleman who cares for a lady. He was charming and considerate, Suzanne told Munich police. At the same time, he looked very sad. It stirred my inner romantic, feeling like we had a rhythm, a special connection together. Suzanne grew up by bodyguards and security guards, and from the moment she started talking with Sgarbi, she forgot what she had been taught as a child, never to talk to a stranger, and especially falling deeply in love with a stranger. The day of farewell came, so Suzanne even gave her private phone number to Sgarbi, and told him her true identity. He was sure to pretend to be surprised. Suzanne returned to Munich a few hours later and began to contact her new friend. In fact, 44-year-old Helg Sgarbi was a full-time gigolo, who had patiently waited like a fisherman, to hook big fish, rich ladies that he would tempt. He had already been at the Lancerhof Hotel twice this summer, and for a great deal of time. All of this was a careful plan and arrangement for Sgarbi, who had only observed from a distance, and let Suzanne relax. After the holiday, he made sure to not be too eager to contact Suzanne, letting her excitement build. Not long after, the first call was from Klatten. The two agreed on the location and time of the meeting. On August 21, the common standard room 629 of the Holiday Inn, in Munich Schwabing, was the place where they first met after departure of the vacation. Klatten had no idea that room 630 next door had long been accompanied by an Italian, Ernano Barretta, who had been secretly filming room 629. During the critical moment, Barretta was operating the camera in the next room by remote control, recording the entirety of the two's activities. On August 26, in the same room, 629, Sgarbi met Suzanne again. This time he told Suzanne that he had recently killed the daughter of a mafia killer in a car accident in Miami, Florida, USA. Mafia members threatened him to hand over €10 million, about $12.66 million, or else they would cut him into pieces. Mr. Sgarbi added that he had €3 million of his own, and that he only needed to borrow €7 million from Klatten. After consideration, she took a box of money totaling €7 million to help her beloved. On September 11, driving to the parking lot of the Holiday Inn Hotel, parking the car in an area that was indicated for ladies only, and handing over €7 million in cash to Sgarbi. At the request of Sgarbi, all of the bills were €500 notes. The Italian associates of Sgarbi sighed, "Oh, my God, a cubic meter of cash." Police found in the investigation that Mr. Sgarbi had previously committed fraud on the pretext of car accidents related to gang members at least 3 times. The easy acquisition of such a huge wealth had pushed Sgarbi's greed and made him realize that Suzanne's value was far more than €7 million. Suzanne also said she realized that she had problems with Sgarbi in September 2007, and she did not reply to Sgarbi's text. In November, Sgarbi wrote to Klatten, writing, "My love, do you remember our meeting at a hotel in Munich some days?" When it was clear that he needed €49 million, he also attached a video showing their sexual relationship and threatened to make it public if the money was not paid. When he first asked for money, Sgarbi took the way of bitter grievances, but this was the first time that he showed the evil face of the extortioner. Faced with the threat, Ms. Klatten had been ignored and received a letter before Christmas lowering his request to say that just €14 million would be sufficient. At that moment, everything was clear. Suzanne said, "I am a victim, and I have to rise up against him, or it will never be over." Suzanne was willing to pay for the pain-ridden people, but her whole education was telling her that she could not appease those who were simply coercing money. Finally, Susanna decided to confess to her husband the truth, and then resorted to legal means to deal with him. She also listened to advice before she reported the situation to the police. She then consulted a famous security consulting firm in Munich. The consulting firm sent specialists to accompany Klatten to the police station. Suzanne reported the case to the Munich police in early January 2008 and took out the case with the original commission. In accordance with the police's advice, she pretended to accept the deal with Sgarbi for €14 million, $1.733 million, and went to meet him in Austria, with Klatten having agreed with Sgarbi to exchange money and image information. Thus, he was lured into the police networks. For Austria, Italy and Switzerland, the German Federal Criminal Police Service, BKA, led by the Austrian police, captured Sgarbi in Austria on January 14, 2008. The Italian police then raided his accomplice and gang leader Barretta's rural hideout in the Abruzzo region, Italy. The police had been able to hear a conversation from Barretta to one of his men. "The biggest swindle in his life is going to be to trick Klatten, the richest woman in Germany, who's too big for us, and it's gonna be a big one." He was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment in 2012. On March 9, 2009, Sgarbi was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment by the Munich First District Court, half of the 12 years he was supposed to have been sentenced to, since Sgarbi admitted to his crimes, meaning that neither Suzanne nor any other woman he had been extorted would be compelled to testify in public court. The judgment prompted the liar to smile. After all, 6 years in jail is not a long time, especially as some believe he still hides millions of pounds of wealth. After his sentence ended, his time was extended by 6 months for not returning the money he had extorted from various women, nor had he ever returned the money he had taken from Suzanne. Mr. Sgarbi was released on July 4, 2014. As smart, low-profile, and discreet as Suzanne was, she still made such a mistake. Is it because there are too many liars in the world, that we must arm ourselves to teeth at all times? Thanks for watching. Please support by subscribe it. We have more to come. Have a nice day.